YouTube. Hi, Spotify. It's Kel coming to you again with another video today for my podcast. And today I want to talk about something random that happened to me actually the other day. As you can tell probably by my backgrounds, I have been on a road trip, and for this particular leg of the road trip, I was actually driving through Oregon. I was actually driving by myself with my cats, and I was driving through a beautiful, beautiful area of Oregon. It's incredible, it was around the Bend area. And I just wanted to do this video as like a PSA, public service announcement for people who, oh my cat just loves when I do a podcast. It's like, it just attracts her. But, so basically, I was driving and I was having it was just a really bad moment, and I rarely cry, although I think it's really good for you. But this day I was crying and I was just not having a great day. I could name the reasons, but I won't get into it. But the whole point is I was crying, and I think I was going 60 or 70. I think it was like 76 or 77 in a 65. And as you guys all know, with road trips, it's hard to keep track of the speed limit. So I do use my Google Maps to like let me know what the speed limit is, but sometimes it changes really quickly. And when you're driving the highways, you don't know if it's 55, 65. Granted, I have no excuse. You should always know the speed limit where you're driving. But so all of a sudden, it's a really pretty day, but I'm like crying, and this what seemed to be a policeman had his sirens on right behind me. And in the moment, I did not check to think like, what kind of car is he driving or what's going on? Is this a legitimate police officer? But what happened was he pulled me over. I pulled over onto the side, and it's kind of this steep incline on the side, so I didn't know if it was safe. So I drove like a little bit just because I want to make sure it's safe to pull over. And then I pulled over, and the guy walks up and he says, I just want to let you know you're being recorded right now, and I am with AAA, and we help the highway patrol and the police in this area. And so he said, did you notice, well, A, you were speeding, and B, because I had from the road trip that I was on, I had this car shade covering the back window. Again, not safe. I'm not advocating for that. It was bad. I knew as soon as I got on the road, I was like, crap, I gotta take that down. But and so I was driving, and he was nice. But the weird thing is like I'm crying because here I am already not having a great day, and then, get pulled over by a police officer. I was crying, and so he said, how are you doing? And I said, not great. I'm crying. And so he said, let me run your stuff. So he ran my stuff and then came back, and he's like, I'm just gonna give you a warning. And so I said, oh, okay, thanks. And I drove away. But what the weird part is that as I was crying, he said, do you want to go somewhere and talk about it? And I remember kind of looking at him being like, that's just a weird offer. And so I don't know, like I kind of got a weird vibe, and I was just like, no, it's okay. I'm just going to cry it out. It's fine. And he said, oh, okay, because, I mean, I was, personally, offering, but also, there's places in town that you could go to talk, and, if you wanted like counseling or something. And I was like, it was just a very weird. Now, granted, I do want our police officers to care about people's mental health and maybe direct them to resources, which is good. But also, it was just a very weird thing when he said, do you want to go somewhere and talk about it? So, okay. So lo and behold, I'm like, quote, happy because I, got off with a warning, which is, nice and probably privileged of me. But anyway, so I get off with a warning, and I'm driving away. I'm actually happy. And then I realized that I just had given my license and registration information to this guy to run, right? And so it was a day or two maybe later that I was like, that's really weird, because I don't think he pulled me over in a police car. I couldn't really tell because like I said, I had that shade up in the back. And so but I remember like with the sirens, I didn't see the black and white car. And then when he said I am with AAA or whatever, I called the local police department and it was around like the Bend area. And I said, do you guys work with AAA? Because I got pulled over by someone who was, saying that they were AAA, but working with the highway patrol or the police. And so, now here's the crazy part. The policeman said, no, we don't work with AAA ever. They're private, we're public, so we don't work together. And so I just wanted to do this video because it was a very bizarre thing. Now, granted, I got off and was fine, but can you imagine? I don't know, for your young, I'm not trying to scare anybody at all out there, but like for, a mom who has teen daughters or something, and like a teen daughter was having an emotional day, and this seemingly nice police officer comes up and offers to talk to her about it. You just wouldn't, I wanted to do this because there's, police impersonation is not something we commonly, or at least I ever commonly deal with or hear about. So I didn't question it when he came up behind me, but we were pulled over in the most random of areas in the middle of a highway with, it was just like, it was very desolate. And so thank God I was like, no, I'm fine. I'll just cry it out. I'm fine. But I just wanted to throw this out there as a public service announcement because when these kinds of shady things happen, we should inform each other, especially as women. And I'm again not fear mongering. I don't want anybody to be scared, but what I would just say is like, if this happened to me again, what I would say is, do you mind me calling the local police station just to like sure, first of all, you shouldn't even, I guess, apparently I kind of looked it up, and apparently the advice is don't pull over if it's not like a black and white uniformed car. That's what, and when I called the police officer, he said don't pull over if it's not a black and white car. So just FYI on that, that's what the police told me. And he said, you can always just keep driving and put your blinker on. That looks like you're going to pull over. You're acknowledging the officer, and then call the local police department, or 911 and say, hey, a car is following me with a siren. Is that the police? They don't have a black and white car, and kind of confirm it that way before you pull over. Because I mean, again, I clearly was naive. And so to this fact, and when I called the police officer, he said, honestly, you must have been dealing with a police impersonator. And so, and to be recording it is just so weird. So I just wanted to, and to let me know of my rights that he was recording it. It's just so bizarre. But I just wanted to let everybody know that I think for me personally, I take for granted when someone says they're the police. I don't like think to check, hey, where is your, I mean, I could have said, where's your badge? But like, that was, again, I didn't even think about it. So I'm just throwing this out there because I hope that the situation would not have gotten worse than it was, but you never know. And I just wanted to throw this out there for the young ladies out there who might take him up on that offer of like, quote, going somewhere to talk about it. And that's just really creepy. So I hope that this helps. The next time you get pulled over, again, acknowledge the officer. You don't want to go on a police chase. You do want to, like, from what the police officer told me, slow down so you're not like on a chase, and put your blinker on or your hazard lights or whatever, just acknowledging that you're not chasing, you're not like leading the officer on a chase, but then call your local, call 911 or call the precinct and just say, hey, now, if it's a black and white car pulling you over, that's a different story. He said that's like, like almost always a real police officer in uniform. But if it's not a black and white car, just again, I'm not fear mongering. I don't want anybody to be scared, but we should be informed about these things when weird things happen. And I hope that this helps. It's a very random podcast, I know, but it was just a little blip in something that actually did happen to me personally. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that that can happen, and some of the tips that the police officer gave me to be the real police officer gave me to stay safe and make sure that it's someone, a real officer pulling you over. So I wish you happiness and health wherever you are, and I will see you next time with hopefully a more fun podcast. And I will see you then. Bye.